In this episode of Indigo and Green, Invado, let's take a field trip to the open kitchen sculpture garden and explore some of the plants in residence to make prints using the power of the sun. And I'll share some ink and paper making experiments made from thriving plants, sometimes classified as weeds or invasives. For 1 week over the summer, I spent my days in the Danu camper in the open kitchen sculpture garden for a micro-residency. I watered the plants, I met with artists, and Pedro, the garden's founder, fed me delicious food, and I got to know and be a part of this place. Inside the camper, questions to ponder were posted on the walls. Where do you belong? What does it feel like when you're there? When was the last time you felt like you were just where you needed to be? On day one, I met and had lunch with Julia. Stories shared quickly found their way to how our paths have crossed many times before. Our experiences familiar, and though we had just met for the first time, we were delighted to find how we had already been connected for decades. Midweek, I had lunch with my brilliant and funny friend Susanna Laramie Kidd, who I know to be as a knitter of socks, a forager, and an adventurous maker of cocktails, and by day, a place-based arts and culture strategist. We talked about belonging, how it can be based on access, shared values, safety, place attachment, rituals, how belonging in a community is sometimes not at all about place. Sometimes it's about one's identity, and belonging sometimes is about just saying that it is that way for you, that you belong because you declared it so. As I weeded and cared for the plants all week, I asked the plants and myself, who are you? Do you belong here? How do I decide, define who belongs? Do you perhaps want to belong here? Hello, mugwort thriving next to water bottle and aluminum can discarded on Phillip Street. Hello, lamb's quarter among the beds. Are you a weed? Are you waste? Have you just been displaced or miscategorized? Are you perhaps here as an abundant resource and I have yet to know your great purpose? Is there some intelligence, some plan deep in nature's instructions that have brought these resources here to be companions? All this matters. I am a part, and these are resources to collaborate with, to transform, reuse, reimagine, reinvestigate. Today, I'm looking closer at the plants and resources in between the rows. The weeds that were once cultivated, the invasive, the recently introduced and thriving. And getting curious to know more, build relationship, and seek ways to transform my understanding. This is a creative practice. I am transformed. I am connected. I am just where I need to be, being and belonging here now, in this present moment, part of this place. And it feels The prolific Japanese knotweed is found along waterfronts, next to roadsides, and in many parks and wooded areas in the Philadelphia region and far beyond. I see them along Lincoln Drive and walking around Rittenhouse Town, on the Gresham Trail in the Wissahickon, and all along the Schuylkill Expressway headed towards southwest. Once you know what it looks like, you'll see it everywhere. It grows really quickly. The stalks resemble bamboo. They're hollow with knuckle-like sections, and the heart-shaped leaves alternate along the stalks. There are many recipes for the early spring shoots, including pies with knotweed puree and pickled shoots, and many say it tastes like rhubarb. The blossoms are white, and in late summer and fall, they are popular with pollinators, so you can find even Japanese knotweed blossom honey. The plant also has been used in traditional medicine practices, and the concentrated sources of compounds found in Japanese knotweed are a topic of many scientific papers exploring its use for the improvement of human health as medicine. Maybe Japanese knotweed will be the next popular treatment for heart disease or something else. There's certainly no shortage of it to explore. It's considered one of the most invasive plant species, and it's on noxious weed lists in many parts of the world, including ours. The PA Department of Agriculture's list of controlled and noxious plants includes Japanese knotweed and some close relatives as Class B plants, meaning it's widely established in the state, and at this point it, quote, cannot be feasibly eradicated. As a side note, a couple of other plants on this list that I've recently got to know better and explored for creative purposes in this episode include mugwort and wild garlic mustard. Back to knotweed. On one hand, it's understandable why people may not want this plant around. Japanese knotweed is known to be difficult to control. It can take over areas limiting plant diversity, and it can grow through any small, teeny tiny cracks in dense construction materials like asphalt or concrete. And that potentially could cause structural damage to buildings. On the other hand, it's here. It's abundant. It's thriving. It was originally introduced for its beauty and interest. It's edible. It's full of potential for exploration, but perhaps not so desirable if treated with commonly recommended herbicides used in attempts to control growth. So foragers beware. Also, these herbicides can be damaging and toxic to the animals and plants in surrounding areas of application. Overall, it seems like there are so many undiscovered benefits, and this plant has made a home here. I go back to the questions. Is there some intelligence in nature that instructed these plants to thrive here for a reason? What healing, what beauty, innovation, or art lives in your leaves, stalks, and roots? I see so much more to investigate. So let's go explore and see what we can find.